Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning. Dr. Alicia and I wanted to come in today and have a conversation about dating somebody with kids. There are a lot of people who talk about dating with children as if that's a curse or that single mothers are low value. I think that's the term people have used. And so we wanted to kind of address this and kind of nip it in the bud and give you some reality behind it. How you doing today, babe?
I'm I'm okay. I wasn't feeling so good a few days ago, but I'm feeling better now. Yes.
Yeah. You weren't feeling so well.
hmm
I nursed you
Anyway,
back to health. I
you
helped you get better.
did. You doing great husband duties.
That's what I want to do.
Sickness and health.
That's what I want to do. I kick somebody's ass to keep you healthy and happy and safe. You know that, right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So anyway, I see Pro Dumpster Diver. He's already said that they are low value, and we're gonna talk about that. I want to really have an honest conversation about dating people with kids. And I say people with kids
hmm
because women ain't the only ones that got kids going into a relationship. A lot of times we act like it's only about the woman having kids, but I know some dudes that got kids on top of kids on top of kids on top of kids. Yeah, no,
hmm
no, I got one biological child and I have God killed children, but I do love them. So you're right. It does take work to get used to having kids. Now, let's see. My brother says, here goes boys with his symbology. So I have to warn you, Black Onyx TV, I'm not going to ban you, but you come with disrespectful comments like that, you're going to have to get kicked out. You can go listen to some other beta males
So wait,
walk
so
around and complain about how mean black women are to us. Black women are so mean, and that's just, but then again, he's probably young and he probably doesn't know anything about life and relationships. And so, but go ahead. What you gonna say, babe?
is this just a black thing? Like I know a lot of families, where people get together and they have children from other relationships. Is it just bad for black families or is it not bad for other families? Because I don't see any other race saying to a white guy, "Oh, you a simp. You date
Well,
anybody."
you know what that simping term comes from. It comes from hip hop. It comes from like
Oh.
white. Basically, the goal to keep the black man and the black family down is to destroy the family. Period. Like, so when the way you do that is you get the men to hate the women and the women to hate the men. So you tell the women that black men are toxic masculinity and that you need to go marry a white guy. And so that's what, that's why everybody celebrates Meghan Markle. But then you have the black men who will talk, I mean, just talk really bad about women. And it's real funny because you got rappers
hmm
that said terrible things about women for a lot of years. Now, 10 years later, you're up here trying to check your daughter's hymen because you don't want her to meet a guy that was like you.
hmm
Like seriously, like these women, like a mother is precious. So let's start here. So everybody who loves their mother, say yes in the chat if you love your mother. If you're a person who loves your mama, say yes in the chat because that's where a lot of it starts. Like the whole negativity toward mothers, women who have children. It starts with guys who just hate their mama or they're mad because their baby's mama wouldn't let them see the kids or whatever. Okay, so this is a conversation for people who love their mothers. See, Pro Dumpster Diver said no and no. That means he don't love his mama. That's why he said that raggedy shit when he came in the door. So because when it starts off with you disliking your mother, or your mother, maybe your mother was a hooker, maybe your mama was on drugs, maybe your mama was low value, in terms of how she treated you. You grow up and you just hate women. You're like, all these women are like my mother. Like, you're an expert on the subconscious mind. Would you say that there's a connection at all, or would you say it's
Yeah,
not related?
there is a connection, but I don't think anybody is low value. There's no
Okay.
such thing as a low value
I don't
person.
agree with that. Just so you know, I think I've met some low value ass people. I seriously like you're high value. That's why I
Value.
wanted to marry you. If you were low value, I would not have married
I don't look at people in terms of value.
you.
I
Okay.
I just look at people. Okay, I can resonate with them. No, they're not my type of crowd, and then I just move on. It's not like they're like lower or higher than me or anything. It's just like that's my group. That's the people I can roll with, and these are the people. More power to them. Just they're just not my type of people to be around. So I don't
Okay.
really look at people with contempt like that. Like I'm better than they are and they are lower than me.
Now that's a good point.
That's
You
just
you
not what
you
I
are you
do.
are right. It is always relative, right? And you're right. Like like sometimes I'll see other black people. I'll be like, "You're a low value Negro," but then I have to realize like you
They're
can't say it.
different.
Right. They're just different, right?
Yeah.
Like they ignorant and into some bullshit. Like I'm gonna be like, I don't want to be around that. But we
Well,
have to be careful about being overly judgmental.
yeah, well, what's ignorant to you is brilliant to someone else. So, I mean, that is very, that is very,
You ain't never
believe it or
lying.
not, it's so true. So I don't look at people like that.
You ain't never lying. I see some people on the internet and everybody be like, "Oh my god, what they said was so great," and
Yeah.
I'll be thinking he called like he's calling black people the N word like over and over again, and you think that's cool, but then you're gonna get mad when a white guy calls you the N word, but y'all call each other that. Like that's just there's like certain levels of thinking. I think, and I think that sometimes in our community we think everybody has to be on the same page. And it's not gonna happen. Because there's some black people that are moving forward, some black people that kind of get it, that are really trying to fight white supremacy. And then you got some black people who might as well join the Klan. Like they just, it's like,
Whatever.
can't you
For each its
express your,
own. Let them be, let them do. They're probably behaving in a way that they feel that is the right way to do, right way to
yeah.
be.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's really important, somebody brought up a point that I liked. He said, why do I have to be forced to want to date a woman with kids? And I don't think that's the case. I think
Hmm.
people have a right to choose. I think everybody has a right to have a preference.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie.
Hmm. What, your
When I
preference?
was dating, if I met a man who had a bunch of kids by a bunch of different people, I probably would think twice about dating him. Just not my type
Mm,
of thing. Or just because like that's a sign that you kind of sloppy.
mm,
Like
that's
why
true.
can't you commit? Why can't you commit to someone? You're going around, you planting your seeds all over the place. Like it
Mm.
those are the in my mind, it's just not me.
So you're saying that a low value man is a guy that if you got a bunch of kids
Well,
and a bunch of
remember I
women,
don't believe in low value. I don't believe.
he's just not your type of guy.
It's just not my type of crowd. It's just not my type.
Mm.
It just that's not the kind of person that would just gel with me.
Yeah, well, I think and I think that's maybe it's a matter of just being fair, right? Like,
Hmm.
you know, and maybe that's it, right? Like, I think that when I would hear people say a woman is low value just because she has kids, I just kind of thought I kind of feel bad for people that kind of think that way because I know a lot of crappy women that ain't got no kids at all, right? They're
Yeah,
just
that's true.
but then also at the same time, it's like, okay, so does that make you a low value man if you got a bunch of kids? Because I know guys with kids, it'll be like, I won't date somebody with kids. But then I've seen women with kids say the same thing,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like, okay, so, because here's the thing, like if I was a woman, right, women are more likely to evaluate a man, not just on what he looks like, but maybe on things like uh his financial status, right? If he's financially weak and insecure, that's not going to be as appealing to a lot of women, right? So here's the point I want to make, because I'm a as a wealth person, and I love talking about relationships because people don't understand how relationships and wealth are connected. So if you're a guy that went out and made a bunch of kids, and you got a bunch of babies mamas splattered all over the country, well, your money is going to be all fucked up. Like you're going to be paying so much in child support that you won't be able to be a head of a family for real unless you're making like NBA player money. If you're
Even
making,
if you are, then the size of the money that goes out of the household
it's going
would
to
be
grow.
NBA style. And
Right. And then when you can't play no more, you're really going to be deadbeat. Like I know a lot
then
of
wait a minute.
uh
All of the baby mama drama that goes with it, it's just too much.
that's so
You
true.
got all these mamas to deal with, and they hang. It just, and I don't know if a man with a whole bunch of kids by a whole bunch of different people, if if they're also the kind of people that can commit themselves to a career or commit themselves
Mm,
to themselves in terms of what they want to do out of life. Like
yeah.
it mimics, like your pattern in that way mimics how you are in all areas of your life. So you can't be lousy this way and it not also be
Um,
transferable to every other,
mm,
all
that
other aspects of your life. It goes together. It's not like, oh, I'm a really good worker or I'm really good at this and then I'm terrible with relationships. Like it's related to each other.
that is such a good point. I
You
think that
can't get along with anybody. You can't get along with no one at work. You can't get along with your family. Can't get along with your friends. It's just you are the difficult person.
that's a good point. You're right. I think that when I talk about economics and wealth and how people can get wealthy, and I'm qualified to talk about it. Not only did I study it for a lot of years, but also I've made some money. Um, you know, it's one thing people don't understand is that a dude who's like making babies everywhere and being sloppy with that, he needs to understand how that's going to impact his ability to actually build anything. You're not building anything. You take because build all building really is this concentrated energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's putting a ton of your energy to a one consistent task of developing something where you have something to show for it. Like you build a building. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of energy, a lot of man hours, woman hours to build that building up, right? But if you're just throwing bricks all over the city, you're not going to build anything. You're just going to have a bunch of sloppy bricks laid all over the place,
Mm-hmm. And that's
right?
going to be the common theme in your life. I've seen it. It just you just mess up in
Mm.
this area. Oh, you messed up in that area, and then you messed up in that area. You can't differentiate the two. It's
Well,
like, yeah, it's par for the course on how some people live their lives.
yeah, what people don't realize is like it's also like a health risk. Like you if you would like when I had a young lady ask me about her boyfriend and he had like 4 kids with 3 women or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
said one thing that people don't talk about is people like that. That means that's telling you something. They don't use condoms that often. And people don't use condoms for having lots of sex.
Mm-hmm.
Usually have diseases. They're usually bringing a lot of baggage to the table that a lot of people won't discuss, but it's there, right? So it's not really putting people down to saying that somebody's low value because they got kids or don't get kids. It's like there's so many other factors that you have to sort of think about. And it's like, well, what does all this say about you? Or like if you talk about a woman that's got 4 kids with 4 different men, it maybe says that maybe sexual discipline could be a problem, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe that she's because the other thing too is when you're dealing with babies daddies or babies mamas, you're not dealing with one person's enough. It's like you think about starting a music group, right? If you're managing a music group
Yeah.
and it's one singer, then that's going to be tough. You're going to have to deal with the ups and downs, their attitude, their temperament, etc. But if you're dealing with a whole band of 5 people,
Mm-hmm.
that group is almost never gonna last.
Well, the thing.
But hold on, let me finish
Mm-hmm.
that
Go
analogy real
ahead.
quick. Think about it. Look like New Edition and stuff like when Bobby Brown's going all acting a fool and the group can't stay together. Like the more variables you have to deal with, the harder it is to keep the team together. So if I meet a woman and she's got 3 babies daddies who are crazy, or two
Mm-hmm.
out of three that are crazy, then that means I've got all these other variables I got to think about. And the same thing is true on the other side. So I think that with this conversation, like when people are saying, like, gosh, I don't know if I date somebody with kids, I think it's okay to say it. I think the problem I had with it is that people are only talking about it in terms of women. And a lot of the men,
Mm-hmm.
like if you're a guy that's got, a sloppy situation, why would a high quality woman who's got her money together? Think about black women make money. They got big money. She's got all her money together. Her 401k is tight, credit score is perfect. But you coming in with people that are literally taking 50% of your check before you even get any of it. That to me is low value too. What do you think?
Well, I want to go with you when you first were talking about what you talked about the group. You talked about
Oh,
the more
the
people,
singing
the
group.
singing group. Yeah, the more people in the singing group. I think what you're saying is that your life is going to be chaotic. It's you're going to because think about it. My life is very peaceful for the most point. It's
Mm-hmm.
very peaceful. And then I'm going to have you and we're going to get together and not you boys, but I'm talking about a person. And they got all these baby mamas and all these people in the singing group. Then it's going to be one crisis, one crazy crisis after another. And so you have to think about how do you want your lifestyle to look? What do you want your lifestyle to be? And actually, even if you don't have children, by a bunch of different people, you still can be somebody who is always having a crisis, always having something going
Oh,
on,
I hate stuff like
always
that.
something happening. And that tells you like you're the common denominator in this. You need to fix it. So I
Yeah.
think what it is that it's not the demarcation of whether someone, according to what people say, high value, low value, which of course I reject, the demarcation is what are you bringing to the table? And is it help? Are you bringing something to the table that's helping? Or are you bringing something to the table that's going to just tear you down and be chaotic and there's always a crisis and somebody always need money for something and someone's always pulling your partner away doing these different things? because their attention is so drawn toward this one thing and this one thing and thou this one thing, and you can't build together. That's the problem. So whether you have children or not, I think, for you just need to sync up with somebody that's kind of matches your level of energy.
Mm.
Hmm.
I've seen some really good comments in here.
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna mention them all, and you can address any of them that you want to. Let's see. One guy mentioned KJ. I think
Hmm.
made a legitimate comment. He claimed that men are not seeking relationships and commitment. Boys, that's what his comment. And I don't actually disagree with what he said completely, in the
I
sense that
don't know.
no. I'm not saying that men don't value relationships or men can't seek them. I just think that, like, we don't grow up thinking, I didn't grow up dreaming about my wedding day, right? I started thinking about my wedding day when I met a woman that made me say, okay, I want to lock down this person. Like, this is like, so it's true. I mean, he's actually making a good point, in the sense that, it's like sex, right? Men and women both love sex, but men kind of approach it differently from women. Men are kind of like, I don't even gotta like you. I don't even gotta think you're smart or nothing, and I can still want to have sex with you. Whereas, and we can do it 10 minutes after knowing each other. Whereas women have a different process, typically, not all women, but most women do. So I think that his point is correct, but I think at the same time, it's like, that's where you have to really differentiate, in the sense of saying, I know that with me, I wasn't really a person chasing like a commitment, because, I've met lots of interesting women like that, and that was, but there's, what happens is, you get to a point where you are like, okay, these situations are cool, but as you make a transition in your life, you want something that's a little more consistent and stable. Also, when you are around somebody where you're like, okay, this person is better than anybody I've ever met. Like, okay, this is the one. I don't want to see her go nowhere. Then you're like, okay, how do I lock this in? How do we sign this contract? Right. And so I get when guys are saying, like, look, I don't want to get married. I don't want to get married. Well, that's probably, it might mean because you're not meeting women that you haven't met that woman where you're like, okay, this is this she.
Hold on a
What
second.
do you
Hold
think?
on a
Go ahead.
second.
What do you think?
Hold on a second. Men are looking for someone to really love them for who they are. Men are looking for um, someone that they can share their life with. They really are. I mean, deep down inside, they made society kind of reinforces this thing where men are have no emotions. They do. And some of that sort of thing is what's quote unquote manhood is being promoted, but men are looking for someone to love them. They really are. They really want someone who is able to, they can get to know, they can know them, someone who's got their back, someone who's in their corner, somebody who can commit to them and they commit to somebody. I mean, deep down inside, they are looking for that. I
Well,
kind of
well,
think
what?
that I don't think men shy from commitment so much. And if you get a man alone and by themselves and you talk to them, they would love to have somebody who loves them no matter what, and they could share a life with. A lot of men do feel like, especially very mature men. Not I'm not talking about men in their 20s. I'm talking about men who are mature, who are established, who have education. They want to be good husbands. They want to be good fathers. They want to do these things because they understand the benefit of it.
Well, I can't speak for all men. I obviously should not, but I can only speak for me, and I can say what my experience was that, um, as I did get older in life and have more experiences, I was more interested in stable situations. And I think, and no matter what stage of my life I was in, I appreciated a woman who understood me. But just because you understood me, don't mean I needed to marry you. I had shit to do. I didn't necessarily want to deal with all the stuff that comes with being a husband.
Well, it
Now,
could be you could have trust
it
issues.
could be, but I just didn't want to do it. That's it. It could be trust.
Okay, so it's a
It could be
safety.
trust issues. It could
You
be.
feel
It
safer
could
not
be. No,
having to
no, no.
put yourself out
It
there and
could be.
make yourself
It could.
vulnerable.
Babe, it could have been too much sugar in my oatmeal. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what it was. I just
Uh-huh.
know that if you ask me at 30, like, do you want to deal with all the stuff that comes with being a husband? I was like, no, I'd rather focus on building my business. I'd rather focus on
I don't
or
know.
I've got three women that I really want to get to know, and that's what it's gonna be, right? So what I would
But
say, hold on, listen,
okay,
You said your
okay.
point, and I'm gonna say mine. So I totally get that part, in terms of what you're saying, and I think that, but I think I do know it at every stage of my life, you always appreciated a woman who understood you, and I think that what happens is, as you get older and you start thinking about legacy, You start making a little bit of money. You don't met a couple. You don't met some women, beautiful women who weren't necessarily Mrs. Right, but she was Miss Right now kind of thing, or maybe she was Miss Right for a year or two, right? Then you get to the point where you're like, okay, I want something that has structure. I want to be,
Well, it gets old.
well,
It gets old
it does
after a
get old.
while.
Yeah, I can't say as a man who's had women approach, like so when guys say, use terms like simple, whatever, I kind of laugh because I'm like, you've never made as much money as me, you've never had as many women approach you as I have. So you just saying these things because you don't even know what it's like to really be in that experience, right? And you're a beautiful woman. I remember how many guys used to approach you back in the day. So you eventually start sifting through and you start saying, okay, what situations make sense and which ones don't. So here's my position. I'm gonna tell you exactly why I married you. You wanna know why?
Why, boys? Why
Well,
did you marry
first
me?
of all, because you were the most beautiful woman I ever met. Like that was literally
Aw.
that was the first thing that really got me saying, okay, this ain't common. This ain't I don't see girls like this every day.
What?
But then also you fit me as a person. You're a scholar like me. Like you're a thinker. I met you in the library. I didn't meet you in the club. I didn't want to meet my wife in the club. I wanted to meet my wife in a place where quality women, tend to go, in the library. I wanted a woman who wanted to be smart. But then also I just, I care about the black community, and because I care about the black community, I've noticed that one of the reasons our community struggles is because we have a lot of children who have daddies like Transition to Greatness says super simp. You got a lot of weak men like him out here that don't take care of their kids, that don't care about the children in the community that are struggling, and the thing is you because of things like hip hop music that white people control, they create black men who become, unfortunately, many of them become pleasure seekers. They're just thinking about where they can dip their penis, and they're not thinking anything about building anything about legacy. That's why nothing's built, because a lot of your men are like, I don't want to build nothing with you. I just want to fuck you. And I think that is fine. There's nothing wrong with wanting sex, but it's like shit. Like, at what point are you going to become a man and build something? Like, in Africa, one of my, I know
No,
yeah.
go on.
Anyway, well, I know in villages in Africa, a lot of villages in Africa, they don't even respect a man. The men in the community don't even respect a man if he's not married. Like, they look at you like you're a little boy. Like, you don't even know what manhood looks like, so you have no say. Your voice does not matter. That's what I remember. No Malanga told me that, and I thought that was quite
It's a
interesting.
rite of passage. Marriage is a rite of passage
Well, it says
into adulthood.
something
Hmm.
about your right to, like, what are you invested in? Like, I talk a lot about investing, and a lot of people don't have any wealth because they don't invest in anything. Well, wealth isn't just money. Some people, I've seen guys grow old, lonely, sick, you up in the hospital all by yourself. Your penis don't work no more, but you're still trying to grab the nurse's booty, but don't nobody respect you because you don't have anything. You have no legacy, no family, no nothing. Nobody's checking on you. Nobody's there for you, because you thought you was going to be a player until your 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that's just kind of they call that the infantilization of the black man, where there are people that work to keep the black man as a child, you know and so the way you see the world at 30 should be different from the way you see it at 50. But unfortunately, a lot of guys don't do that. So what do you think?
Okay, that makes sense to me. I wanted to get back to like two other points you made before about when I talked about the trust issue. Like, I think sometimes it's easier to say, I don't want that. I don't want to get married and have kids. I don't want to do that because it's scary. It's going to make you become very vulnerable. And you have to trust yourself that you can actually pick somebody that you can trust. Like,
Mhm.
you have to trust your choices in a mate. Like, are you going to see those red flags and then just keep pushing ahead? Or are you going to see those red flags and have enough value for yourself where you're able to let that person go, knowing that that person may be crazy, that person may have some qualities that is not marriage material? Or are you going to hang around with somebody who's going to stress you out just for something superficial? And
Well,
so.
and I hear that, and I don't disagree with that, right? And one thing I've definitely learned is when you talk about relationships, men and women tend to see things different, and there's times where like, I had to learn about manhood. My father was he's a real tough guy. He's a manly man type guy. And I learned a lot from him. But I also saw where part of his manhood meant being vulnerable. and
Yeah.
being okay with kind of saying, yeah, I'll kill anybody who messes with my family, but I love the hell out of this woman. Like my father would be like, yeah, I'll simp for this woman because I love this woman. But I mean, but he's not any kind of a, I don't even know, like, when I hear that term simp, I kind of, first of all, I think that I see guys in here that are saying that. And first of all, y'all got to go have Kevin Samuels explain that man that was in his bed. Like, so I'm, I'm not judging, but I do think
So
that,
what, I'm not even familiar with Kevin Samuels, honestly. Like I just know that everything I've heard him say, it just makes me cringe. I'm just like, nah, I don't really get it. So that's just how I think, and I don't really take out the time to try to get it. But is he the only one that talks about simping, or is it other people
I think that a lot of guys get that stuff from, from like being misguided
being?
about,
Hmm.
like about, and it's not really to say that
So
everything.
what's the opposite of simping? Like, what does that look like?
I don't think they know what's simping. I don't think.
Like being
I
mean to
guess maybe they
women, or
think it's
what?
pimp. Maybe they think it's pimping. Like,
Oh,
like
pimping is
yeah,
the
pimping and
opposite.
simping. They sound a lot alike. So maybe like you had the black
Oh,
exploitation culture that was pushed to black people to teach black men like, hey, you want to be a pimp, you want to pimp these hoes, that kind of thing. And then hip hop music, which was controlled by white people, was shaped to go in the direction of basically giving a false perception of manhood. And I think that, but I do think that black men and black women have a lot of things we got to work on. I think that,
everybody has things they need to work on. Well, the thing is that I think the problem is that we can't categorically say don't date a woman with kids because that is low value. You cannot put an entire group of people in one category and just say they are low value just because of that. Because there's so many different scenarios there.
yeah, yeah,
It's so many different scenarios. There's so many different factors. I mean, you gotta keep all that stuff in mind. That's what I don't understand.
yeah.
Like,
Well, let's check this out. So,
mm-hmm.
JJ made a donation to the channel, so I got to
Oh,
read
a
this comment.
donation. Okay, what did he
Yeah,
say?
he says women are choosing to get pregnant by dusty men that already had multiple children when they met. 99% of single moms complain about the dad not having a career. Single moms don't care about stability until life beats their butt.
Yeah, because you know what? I think that some of these women are just looking for love. They're really looking for love,
Mhm,
and some of the research is showing that whether a woman, if a protection is used during intimate relations,
uh-huh.
it's usually based on whether the man is enforcing it or not. So if the
Mm,
man doesn't see it as something that he wants to use, it won't be used. And so here you got all these women getting knocked up
mhm.
because they don't value themselves enough to say, "Hey, we're not doing this."
Yeah, so maybe it's like not so much a matter of whether the world thinks you're a low value person. It's whether you think you're low.
Absolutely,
So you're right. That's a good point about that. And let's see here.
you don't
So
value
it looks
yourself.
like we have a lot of Kevin Samuels fans in who said Kevin has 1 million subscribers. So I guess that must make him right. Well, I know ignorant rappers that have 1 million subscribers. I'm not saying Kevin is ignorant though. He's not ignorant. It's more like that's a perspective, and I think any perspective that leads the black man to show contempt toward the black woman
I did
is
not
not a
know.
healthy point of view.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm real surprised that black love, just showing black love. Like I think that's the whole point of why we have our marriage so public. It's just a symbol. It's a symbol of black love. And I'm wondering, why is black love being torn down so much? What is that about, boys?
Well, I think that
Like, I don't understand. Like, I thought, like, okay, who can argue with black love? Like, you would think black love would be the one topic where the black community can get behind. Like, oh, black love. Like, who are you, and what happened in your household that you hate black love? I've never seen such a thing.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I think
it's just a bizarre. This is your world. This internet world is your world. Please explain it to me, boys.
okay. Well, I think that you have a lot of unhappy people in the world. Like, I don't like, when you talk about trolls, I visualize people that are typically not doing well in their life. They're not happy. Maybe they're banging on the keyboard in their mama's basement, broke as hell, can't get a woman, so they see me saying, I love this woman. I love this black woman. I'm proud of that. And it makes
What's
them
wrong with
unhappy.
that?
Well, I think that it's probably, first of all, it could be an immaturity thing, right? Like maybe 25 years ago, when I was in my 20s, maybe
It
I would have thought differently. I ain't gonna lie, when I was
it could be
when no
immature, but
when I was in my 20s,
uh-huh.
I was like, God, marriage is hard. I saw my friends get married and lose all their money. I had several friends that happened to. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
men feel they're afraid of being violated. They're afraid of kind of losing everything. But the other thing too, though, is one other thing that makes people different is that I'm rare. I had a father in the house every single day who taught me what manhood looks like. And so if
Mm-hmm.
I never had that, I'd probably think the same way in certain ways. Like because the thing is, you
No, but
when you when
I know a lot of there's some couples I see in my coaching
mhm.
who didn't have a father in the home, and so it makes them want to embrace manhood. They had other men in their
Oh, by
lives.
the way, buy a house that says in your 20s, Alicia rejected you. Did you reject me in my 20s,
I
baby?
didn't even know you were being. I didn't even know
I know
to
that
reject
that
you.
apparently that's like the big internet rumor that
Is it?
you friend zoned me for 20 years, and they don't even
I didn't even
people don't
know to
even know
reject you.
you were met.
First of all, the women you dated looked nothing like me and acted nothing like me. So I was like, oh, there is no way I thought I was not your type,
Yeah, you
honestly.
apparently you friend zoned me for 20 years and you got with me because I became rich and famous because you're a gold digger. It's
I'm a
like
gold
people
digger.
create these narratives, yeah, and they don't even realize like you had your own money, like
I got my own gold.
you had your right.
I dug for my own gold.
Yeah, that's right. And let me sign the prenup. Like, and I think, it's like, so it's really interesting that people, and I think it comes from that Kevin Samuels gay crowd, like bitchy crowd,
Oh, these are the
like the
women
little
hating
bitchy crowd. Yeah,
crowd.
like they want, like they're making up these narratives that have nothing to do with fact. And it's really, it's like, well, why are you mad that a black man found happiness? Like, like, because you can't say I'm a simp because I got more money than you. I've been attracted. I've had more women attracted to me than you. I'm more powerful than you. So what is about my life that is simpy? Your life is a simping life. You don't want getting beat up by that white man you call boss. Like, you call yourself an alpha male. You ain't no alpha male.
Ooh, okay.
Only alpha male
Come back, boys.
only alpha male is the white man you work for, and he's the man of your house, not you. So get out of here with that stuff. I'm simply showing you that being a strong black man and having and achieving things, and then deciding you want to stand up and defend your community, that's the holy grail, and I challenge, I would say any of those men, I challenge you, show me what you're doing for black people, show me where you're building something, right? And I'm not really talking to guys under the age of like 32, because those are like children to me. Like, they're like, I have kids older than them, right? I'm talking to guys that are like in their 40s who are on this BS. Like, if you're in your 40s, man, and you're not trying to build something.
Oh, there's some 32-year-olds. There's some 25-year-olds doing some
Oh yeah,
things,
D1, like
building and
D1's
doing some
31.
great things.
Yeah,
So don't just because you're in your 20s, that doesn't mean that you can't do marvelous things. I had my master's degree at the University of Chicago when I was 26.
but but having a
You know
form
what I mean? I was
but having formal
doing it.
I think that, but I agree with you, but I think having
Hmm.
formal education is a little different from having like wisdom. I think
Well,
that when
I
you like
was
I
on
got,
my way.
like, you and I both had a lot of education at an early age, right?
Hmm.
But there's like certain wisdom you pick up over time. And again, the way I live my life at 49, almost 50, is not how I would live my life at 29 or 30. I could have got married at any point in my life. I could have got married at 21, you know. And I didn't even know you were interested in me back then when I first met you. If I'd known then, I probably would have dated you. I don't know if I would have. I don't know if I've been ready to get
I
married
don't
though in
know.
my
The
20s.
thing is, I didn't even think about being interested in you boys because the first conversation I had with you on the phone was you telling me about your girlfriend. Remember?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
had that girlfriend at Indiana. So you had a girlfriend. I did never had a boyfriend at IU. I was single. I was single most of my time at Indiana. And you had a girlfriend every time I talked to you on the phone.
Hmm.
So I was the one I was the one single and you were the one with a girlfriend. And I'm like, okay, who are you dating now? Because I knew it was always somebody.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I never.
So,
Yeah, I mean, well, I always.
and it was somebody that
Well,
was not at all like
well, there
me.
was never a time where I didn't meet great black women. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I only dated black women. I never dated white women or Asian or anything like that. And it was cool. Like, I would meet women and it was fun. But I was like, I'm not trying to marry you. I wasn't trying to marry anybody. I really didn't feel like like I didn't at that time. I didn't want a lot of the work that comes with it because it does take a lot of work. Anybody who wants to do it needs to be ready to
Uh,
do the work. It
I
does.
got thoughts about that, but I'll keep it to
It
myself.
takes work. I know. Yeah, yeah. Keep that to yourself. But but I would say at the the end of the day, like I think that um like for the brothers that are really trying to listen, really trying to learn, like just be thoughtful about like a lot of people are like, well, you're really good with financial stuff, and why are you talking about relationship stuff? Well, because I understand financial stuff enough to know that your relationships are deeply connected to how well you do financially. Most of the men who are pleasure seekers don't get ahead financially. Like they just don't have the discipline to really build a business or to build like massive wealth or whatever the case may be. And
Yeah.
they also sometimes your family situation, the way you handle your relationships. If you got a bunch of cheap ass women around you, and believe me, I've had them all come up to me or whatever because they saw when I had a little bit of money or whatever. If you're surrounded but constantly by cheap women and babies mamas and all this other stuff where you're having kids everywhere, you're not going to be able to build any wealth because all that money is going to be gone. The child support court will eat through your whole bank account, and
I just want to say something about child support. Like it is, I mean, they have had studies done on that. And first of all, child support court does not eat through all of your money. It only
I no
hold
no
on a second. I
I
just want to say it only takes so
no
much.
I don't agree with
You're
that at
cutting
all.
me off, and I
Go
want to
ahead.
say something. It
Go
only
ahead.
takes so much of your money up to a certain percentage. Up to a certain percentage.
But it
Okay.
still sucks.
Yeah, okay.
I
You don't
remember
like
I
it.
paid child support 18 years for my daughter,
You're
and
supposed to though,
it was the
boys.
most thankless activity ever because all
Okay.
that money was coming out of my check. It was so much money. It was so hard to like. I was like, I said, I need y'all to take the money out of my account because I physically cannot write a check for this amount. I cannot write a check for this amount. It would not. It was like and then it was infuriating because because your child would be like, Dad, I need another $300 for a field trip, and you'd be like, your mama just got a big check, So it's not easy. I don't recommend that for anybody. I don't recommend
Okay.
child support court for anybody.
I'm just saying I'm saying quite a bit, but I'm just saying that you're supposed to pay child support, and it's important to pay child support. And if you are making a certain amount of money, a certain percentage of it should go to your child, your biological child. And I think linked with that, you should also have some visitation rights, and not even linked with it. You should have visitation rights whether you pay child support or not. Honestly, that's how I
Hmm.
feel.
Well,
That relationship create building a strong bond in a relationship with your biological
ooh.
daughter should have been the most important thing. But I don't know how child support court was back then, but how it is now is they don't take all of your money. It takes it up to a certain percentage, and then they just cut it off.
Well, somebody's asking
Hmm.
why you didn't marry the mother of your child, boys? Because just because you make one mistake don't mean you need to add another.
Oh, boy, she would have married that lady.
I did love her. Actually, my
You would have
my
married
no
her.
no the first woman that I did have my baby with, I thought my life was supposed to be like my parents. My parents got married young. They worked
Yeah.
together to rise up, and they went to school together. They did a lot. I remember my parents were 22 years old. I thought that was going to be my life. So I would have definitely married the mother of
Yeah,
my
for
first child
sure you would have.
because I wanted to do the things the way my parents did. But the thing is that family structure makes a difference. Like so, a lot of the guys who refuse to marry or commit to a black woman, a lot of times it's because they didn't have a man in the house that was committed to a black woman. Like I bet you, 80% of the guys who think that marriage is like for suckers are guys who never saw they had mothers who never were married, and they would see men come in and out of the house, and these men had no obligation to the house. And what people don't understand is that from where I sit, I see the whole picture of the black community. And if you look at black wealth and why black wealth is low, the lowest net worth in America is single black mothers. Like the median net worth of a single black mother is like $5. So a lot of the guys grew up maybe seeing their mother struggle financially, and they saw no man feel.
Although we're getting child support. I mean, not we, but although they're getting child support, they're
Some of
still
them are.
struggling.
I don't.
And so the
I
thing
know a lot of
is
guys that
that,
don't pay their child support. But go ahead.
well, what I'm saying is that there are a lot of women who get child support and they still struggle. You still come out of pocket.
Right.
I'm thinking, it takes a lot more than just that to raise a child in this day and age.
I do agree,
I
but
just,
and I think at the end of the day, I think that what uh, those who care about black people, those who are B1 should really understand is that you're better off financially when you find a way to stick together. That means like if I have a child with a woman, like I didn't have any more kids, any biological kids. I would, I took on God kids through the years, but I didn't have any more biological kids because I did not feel comfortable getting married yet. And because I said to myself, if I ever have a child, I'm gonna marry that woman.
Well, you're supposed to be married first and then have the
Yeah,
child.
yeah, that's old fashioned. People don't do
How's
that
that's
anymore.
not old
I don't think
fashioned?
people do that anymore. I don't think that's a requirement, right?
That's what I did.
Well, here's what I
I
believe.
got married first,
You
boys.
really did. You really did do that. You really did do that.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that the kid, they all is one father, and they all their dad takes good care of them.
Yeah.
So
So
you don't have to take care of them. Their dad takes good care of them.
yeah, he does, but I'm the one who's in the house with him every day.
That's true.
But the thing is though, remember, you got to understand. Like, I got to be honest with you as a man. Like, a man won't do that for every woman. Like, the conditions had to be right. I had to feel comfortable doing that. If they were bad kids, or if he was a crazy man, or if I wasn't comfortable financially, like money's not a big deal for me. I have plenty of money, so little things like that would not. So so what it does is it takes it from being a burden. So some guys, they wouldn't do it because they see it as a burden. They can't afford to do it. It's too stressful. They don't know how to solve problems. Whereas for me, it was like, no, I like children. Kids are cool. I love mentoring young people. I have thousands of people online that call me Uncle Boyce. I love mentoring them because I love giving guidance to youth, because that's the way you have a legacy. Like, those are the people that carry your message on. So anyway, so I'm gonna read a comment here, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and go. I know you got stuff to do. So I'm gonna answer some more questions. Babe, you want to say goodbye before you head out?
Yeah, but we both have a very important thing to do today.
Yes, we do. So why
So
don't
we
you go?
both have stuff
So why
to
don't you
do.
go? You go get ready. I'm gonna keep talking to my people. I'm gonna keep responding to questions. So I'll
You
be.
gonna respond?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody have a question for me
Yeah. Okay.
before I?
All right. All right.
And don't forget.
So Dr. Boyce and wife, y'all really need to watch the business broadcast video, "How Single Moms Ruin Marriage" by Jason Black. You two have twisted views of modern single moms. They are nothing like what you make them out to be. I don't doubt what you're saying. I mean, I'm sure you got to remember though that what you view about black women or black men is based on your sample. So your comment about, black single moms is much a reflection of you as it is of them. Just like when women say all men ain't shit, men are garbage, black men are this, black men are that. Well, it's usually a reflection. If you look at those people's lives, usually those women have been dating terrible men, right? And so, the same thing is true on the male side. If you always chasing the big button to smile, if you always going after the girl who's the cutest and not thinking about anything else about her, who she is, whether she's a good person, a bad person, a good mother, a bad mother, a gold digger or not, then yeah, you're gonna end up with some raggedy women who are gonna do horrible things to you. And then you're gonna go on somebody's platform, which will give you a space to complain about your bad relationship choices, and you're gonna constantly complain about how terrible black women are. So I encourage you to like think carefully about your sample. If you're gonna say that about women, think about this. Tell me if this isn't true. Women who complain constantly about men all the time typically tend to be women who, for whatever reason, choose bad men. So the same thing is true for the men who use the internet as their opportunity to express their grievances about black women. So I don't doubt what you're saying. I mean, there's some terrible people out here. I had to dodge a lot of them, but I can tell you, as you get smarter, you get more discernment. You start learning the difference between quality people and bad and low quality people. Because I can tell you this, I'm a realist. When you talk about marriage, I know people get divorced. So we talked about it. Like, what if we get a divorce? What would that look like? And I had to see, how my wife behaves when she's angry at a man in order to understand like what it would be like in the event, God forbid, that we didn't make it as a couple. So part of keeping your stuff tight and being successful and building means knowing how to have healthy transitions. Transitions can mean that you're coming closer together, or transition can mean that you're falling apart, right? But either way, you want your transitions to be smooth so that you can keep the empire intact.
Hey, I have
Now,
a question. Is
go ahead, babe.
everybody okay? I'm not looking at the chat because
Hmm.
I like to focus on what you're saying.
All right.
I think the chat is like is distracting. So is nobody agreeing with us today?
No. Look, here's a question
Is
for no.
anybody
Well, let me
like,
hold on.
yeah, that
No.
makes
Here we
sense?
go.
Or are we just in la la land?
No, I know, right? The idea of a black man, a
We
black
just in
woman
love.
loving each other. What the fuck is wrong with
We
us?
just in love
But
on
no.
our
Well, here
own
I
in
want to read
love
this question from
islands.
Indika Swan. Indika made 2 donations, so she can ask her 2 questions. So her
Okay.
question needs to be read. She's got 2 of them. So her first question is: Men who are married without kids are part of the problem. What kind of leader creates a broken home? Who are married? I mean, unmarried with kids. I don't know, where is the accountability for men. And then she says men who have kids but aren't married are part of the problem. Okay, so she correct. She spell checked it. Okay, so she's very thorough. All right, so she's right. She says,
Wait, what was the question? Say it
she
again.
says men who have kids but are not married are part of the problem. Where's the accountability for men? I think that's a valid
Okay, I
question.
don't know what she means by accountability.
Well, what she's saying is,
Um,
why are we, I hear brothers constantly talking about single mothers are the problem. And I'm like, but every time there's a single mother, there's a daddy who made her a single
oh,
mother.
that is a good one. So it's almost like pop the question, because it's not like women gonna pop the question. You have to pop
Well,
the
shit,
question.
this is the 2021. People doing all kinds of
Well,
weird
you know
stuff.
what? Hey, it's gonna come to that because men ain't doing it. So if the man's not gonna,
Mm.
not gonna commit like that, that's a good question.
Well, that's a good point. I agree. And I
Why
think,
not make that
well,
commitment?
what that goes, why not make the commitment? What, to get married?
If you're gonna have a child, why not make that commitment to get married? But see, you would,
Well, because a lot of people don't even choose when they're gonna have kids. They just you know what they choose? They choose to fuck. They choose to have sex.
yeah, but getting someone pregnant is the birds and the bees. Like we
Right,
all know what
right.
that means.
People forget the birds and the bees. They forget, like, you take that condom
Oh,
off.
they just living on the edge.
What they're doing is they're engaging in instant gratification, and that's what's
Yeah, but
marketed to black people. Black people are marketed instant gratification. Like, if she looks good, you hit it, and that's it. And they're not
uh-huh,
thinking
uh-huh.
strategically. We're not trained to think strategically. Strategically
Are
means
you saying that they're stupid?
I'm not. No, I'm not gonna say no. Not all black people. No, the B1 intelligent
I'm
black
talking
people are
about
not stupid.
those people are stupid.
No, I'm saying that people. It's not stupid. It's more
What are you
like
saying?
undisciplined.
Undisciplined.
And it
Okay.
doesn't mean that everybody can't be undisciplined. I mean, my God, I had a baby when I was 17. But after I did that at 17, I didn't do it no more because I thought I didn't want to keep paying all that money. I didn't want to keep on dealing with having a child outside my house. So I said, if I have another child, I'm going to make sure that I pick the right kind of woman and that that child is in my home. If that child ain't in my house, then I don't want my child raised in a household that I'm not a part of.
Okay. All right. We
Okay.
gotta get
You got
ready.
anything you
We
want to say
got
before you
things that
go?
we have
I
to
know we got
do.
to leave at noon. Do you have anything you'd like to say before you go?
Um, you got a question for me, boys?
Do you have any parting thoughts? That's my question. Oh, I can read a question. Let's see. Somebody says, I'm going to read a couple. Let's see. No, as a married man with a son, I disagree with your stance. I would raise my son to marry a woman with 0 kids. I would not set him up for life of drama, financial burden, and failure.
Yeah.
So you don't think that your son can have drama, financial burden, and failure with a woman with no kids? What does a woman having kids have to do with anything?
Well, I mean, look at.
Do you know how many raggedy ass women your son is gonna meet who ain't got no kids? Little thotty 25-year-olds, gold diggers who are like who think that they're better than other women just because they don't have kids. I'm not saying that kids don't make things more complicated. What I'm saying is that that's only one piece of a very complex puzzle when it comes to evaluating a woman. I don't think having kids makes a woman better or worse. I really don't. I know raggedy women who have kids who don't have kids. I know great women who have kids and don't have kids. It's about a quality partner. Like, and that's the funny thing is when people start evaluating their life choices on one-dimensional frameworks, that's when they mess up. Like I'm going to eliminate. It's like, you know what it was. You know what reminds me of? It reminds me of when like 20 something years ago I did online dating. I tried it, and I would have women that literally, without even knowing me, would say, "I'm sorry, but I don't date men who are under 6 feet tall." Now, first of all, without realizing that, like 90% of all men are not 6 feet tall, right? So you're dealing with 10% of the population. Okay, fine. But these will be short women, like 5'8". You 5'6", but you refuse to date a man 6 feet tall. I get that. That's fine. That's your right to have that preference. But the thing about it is that you end up missing out on a lot of great men who are under 6 feet tall, or like those women who only date a man who goes to church. And then what happens is, next thing you know, they're getting exploited by pimps in the pulpit, by the deacon who's fucking everybody in the church, right? Because they keep all the women to themselves. So what I'm not saying is, I'm not saying those factors can't matter. That you can't say I prefer a man who goes to church, or I prefer a man who's 6 feet tall, or I prefer a woman who doesn't have kids. But what you get, I think what I did was I would say, okay, these are the things I prefer. Like I prefer a woman without children, but if she's got this and this and this, then that makes up for any challenges of raising kids because this woman is so unique or whatever. Or if the kids are well behaved, then I can deal with that. If the kids are not well behaved, I won't deal with that. Or if she got a crazy baby daddy, I won't deal with that. But if the baby daddy's cool and we can work together and we can raise the kids together, I'm not so ego driven about it that I need the kids to be my seed because that was my background. My father was a fellow simp and he raised me without being my biological father. And I appreciated that because my dad could have easily been like, I ain't messing with no woman with kids. But my mother was so appealing to him that he was like, I love this woman and I know that her and her son come as a package. And I'm going to raise this child as my own. And to that, and because of that, he's now almost 70. He's got 3 children that will buy him a house anytime he wants it. We paid off my daddy's house. I don't know if you know, we paid off my dad's house about 3 months ago. He's got honor. He will be honored at his funeral. He has a legacy. His name is Larry Watkins. Millions of people know his name because he made an investment in me, when I was a little big head boy that nobody wanted, you know. So I don't know. I think I'm kind of embracing this simp term. I'm like, yeah, maybe we need more black men who can be simps, for the community. Like I will simp for a black woman I love. I will simp for my community. I will simp for the children to protect the children. I will not, I just really think that if that's what it is, then call it call it what you want. But I think that you need men that are going to stand up and be there for our people. That's why our people struggle because we got a bunch of punks and a bunch of little wimpy men who don't want to take any accountability. So what do you think?
Okay, I thought the question was for me, but you did a great job answering it. Um,
Go ahead.
Thank you for that. Oh, we're supposed to promote my class. I'm teaching a class. No,
Mm.
no,
No, well, if you want to talk about your class, you can.
I want to. Yeah, that was my job. Okay.
Yeah. So her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. And you can go to her site if you'd like to take a look. She's a licensed therapist actually, so she coaches couples and stuff like that. So if you're interested in taking a look, feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com. And so let me see here. So I'm gonna read some more of the comments here.
Okay.
Let me see here. All right. So Alicia, can a narcissist change with therapy? What do you think?
Yes, I do believe a narcissist can change. They have to get to the point where they have to show some empathy.
Hmm.
You can work with them. I don't think any relationship, even if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and they are really a narcissist, I think that there is a way where you can deal with them. It's going to take some work,
Hmm.
because sometimes they don't even understand that they're not being as empathetic as they can. Really, a narcissist is somebody just not very empathetic.
Hmm.
Just
Okay.
somebody that just can't understand. And then you tell them what they've done, hurt your feelings, and they turn it around and make it seem like they hurt. That the fact that your feelings were hurt, the fact that your feelings were hurt, and it's your problem that your feelings were hurt. So yeah, I think it can be dealt with. If you have to be gentle with how you deal with them, and you have to let them see and understand how their behavior impacts others, because a narcissist just doesn't believe that they do anything wrong.
Well, I you know
Hmm.
I dated a narcissist, and one thing
You feel like you
at
did?
least I think she was, because one thing she did, I wonder if this was a symptom of narcissism. She had never apologized, not one time, the whole
Hmm.
relationship.
Hmm.
That
That doesn't make her a terrible person necessarily. She just doesn't understand. She doesn't
hmm
understand how relationships work.
mm, yeah, and I was like, no, I can't deal with that. If you can't never apologize, never date somebody who refuses to apologize. That's kind of crazy. So Danny says a lot of women out here these days playing, not just sell that body. Okay. Um, let's see here. So let's see. Dub Do says, so in other words, women aren't to be held accountable for their own relationships. I think everybody's accountable. Look, I think that when you talk about black relationships going bad, like if we just literally just point the finger at single mothers without even talking about the fathers, that's a disingenuous conversation. It's worse. It's just as bad as those women who will talk about men but won't talk about women.
I'm gonna tell you, I do understand the stigma of being a single mother, and I think that that's just like a statistic. It's like I stayed married longer than I should have because I did not want to have that label of single mother.
Mm,
That was the reason why I probably hung in there longer than I should have. I should have departed earlier because
mm,
I just did not want to have that stereotype on me. But then I started realizing, whatever. I have to live my life, and I have to be happy, and I have to have certain conditions in order for me. I can't live the rest of my life like this. So
yeah,
I just took what my own happiness and my own satisfaction. I didn't want to go to an early grave dealing with something that I felt that was not beneficial to me psychologically, physically, emotionally, everything.
yeah.
And so I think like we need to get away from that label.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree. I agree. Let's see here. So Reg Bliss says, "What about the kids' emotions?" Right? I agree. I think kids.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
put the kids' emotions above. Like I'm tough. I can handle stuff. Like, but the kids. I'm here to protect the kids. It ain't about me. Let's see. It's time. Danny says it's time for somebody else to go first. When they finish with their prison bid, they'll learn what I learned. Okay.
What is
All right.
that?
I don't get that. I don't know. Ballface says he's a self-admitting simp. Even called his dad a simp. Yeah, if that's your definition of a simp, then I just make me a simp because whatever the fuck you are, I don't want to be that. So, like I'm a black man who cares about black people. So I don't know. You can go back to your mama's basement. All right, let's see. Black women never have to take accountability. I think that they should. I think smart black women do. Black women who don't take accountability should probably
What does
be
accountability
asked to do
mean?
that.
I keep hearing that word. I don't
Accountability
understand
means
it.
accountability is basic to me. It was what I was raised with. It means in your life, you are the primary decision maker. You are the person who played the biggest role in putting yourself in whatever situations you're in. So when you act like your life was somebody else's fault, when you act like your life was somebody else's doing, that I can't relate to that. It's like, no, you make your own choices. Like E40 said, everybody got choices. And I believe, so it doesn't mean other
I
people
don't
can't
understand
it
that.
doesn't mean other people can't play a part in your life, but it means that your outcomes, like if you're gonna take credit for the good shit you did, you gotta take credit for the bad. If you're gonna take credit for your good situation, like look at me, I worked hard, I have my
Mhm.
master's degree, whatever, then you gotta take credit for the areas that aren't working out. You can't be like, well, it's men's fault or oh, it's women's fault. Like, no, it's your fault. You
And
made
that's accountability. I mean, I hear that
yeah,
word a lot recently, and
yeah.
I've never used it. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but I've never used that
Account
word
yeah,
accountability.
accountability to me means the buck stops with me. When it
Okay.
comes to my life, the life of Boyce Watkins, talk about myself in the third
Oh,
person. I know
please
you hate
don't do
that.
that.
I'm gonna do it. When it comes to the life of Boyce Watkins, um, the buck stops with me. Like, I can say I can say to this point in my life, I'm extremely happy with my life. That's one of the reasons why, trolling and stuff doesn't bother me. Is because I'm very happy with every choice I made. Every goal I had, most of my goals I accomplished them. When it came to money, success, whatever, like I made the choice that worked for me because I always knew that when you make your life decisions, you got to make those by yourself because other people will guide you down a terrible path.
See, I would give that a different word. I wouldn't give it accountability. I would
Mm,
give it you got determination, you have
I'm sorry.
commitment, I would give it a different type of
But
word.
accountability is linked to that because
Mhm.
if I didn't have accountability, I'd be like these little weak Negroes. Some of these weak guys in the chat who have a terrible life, but they're blaming other people. Like, oh, it's black women's fault. Black women are the reason that I'm not happy that I'm making videos in my mama's basement. Black women are the reason why I can't. No, it's like no, you chose your life for the most part. Take control. Be a man. Like take accountability. Like seriously. Like when something goes wrong you can't sit around blaming other people. It might make you feel better, but it ain't gonna help. And on the internet, you see a lot of the blame game happening. You see women blaming men for their miserable lives, and you see men blaming women for their miserable lives. Like a lot
It's
of
never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault.
yeah, a lot of guys that get in this sphere, they call it the manosphere, I guess, and
Uh-huh.
they claim that they're alphas, but you can't be alpha if you're part of a pack. If you're following a pack, you're not an alpha.
Ooh.
Alphas lead packs; they don't follow packs. But these guys that are like, yeah, we're gonna spend all of our time bashing women, like that really is like whiny accountability. That's no different from they're like they're like male feminists. They're like the male version of angry feminists, of toxic feminists. Like we're gonna literally do a bunch of ratchet, ridiculous shit. I got, 4 kids with 3 babies mamas and 2 STDs and no job, and I'm mad because I met a woman that I fell in love with who had better options, who could have a quality man, and rejected me. And now because she rejected me,
Mm-hmm.
all bitches ain't shit. Women ain't nothing.
They just mad at everybody, all
Right.
women. Mm-hmm.
All the black women are gold diggers. Well, that's maybe because you ain't got no gold. That's why you think every woman's a gold digger, because
Oh,
you
and they
never
don't.
went and learned how to go dig for gold. All you learn how to do is sit around and complain. Like, seriously, you ever see that? You ever, and tell me if y'all have ever seen this. You ever see a guy who sees a girl? He's like, "Yeah, sweetheart. Hey, baby, how you doing? Why don't you gonna come on over here, girl?" And the girl like walks past him because she knows he's a scrub, because women can smell scrubs from a mile away. And then suddenly this guy who was super nice a minute ago is like, "Yo, raggedy bitch, that's why you ugly anyway." You know what I'm talking about? You ever see guys like that?
Uh-huh.
Like sore
Uh-huh.
losers, like who will literally, one minute they think a woman's great, they're saying all these wonderful things, and the minute she don't want to give him no ass because he's not her type, suddenly it's like, "Oh, you bitch, that's why I don't
Well,
like,
people don't
that's why
like
y'all get on my nerves, that's why y'all black women, blah blah blah."
people don't deal with rejection very well.
Yeah,
That's tough.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you got rejected because you're not the alpha, because you're not the
Well, even if you are an alpha, so to speak.
you're not a prime pick.
Well, no, you're just not a prime pick for that person. There's somebody for everybody, boys.
That's true, but I know a lot of guys. I know guys like that though. I know guys who ain't got nothing to offer. See, we talk about women, but
What do
not
you
bringing.
mean
We
nothing? I
talk.
think
No, no,
everybody
no.
has something to
Well,
offer.
they might offer something that ain't got no damn value. How about that?
Well, dependent.
So I know guys. Seriously, I'm listen.
Okay.
I know guys who will see a girl that's like clearly out of their above their pay grade, and they will want this girl, and then that's when they fall in love. Like, oh my god, she's the most beautiful. Blah 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 blah. And the girl's like, thank you, I appreciate it, but I want something better. Like, women naturally are attracted to the cream of the crop. They're not attracted to the scrubs, the bottom of the bottom
Well, I
feeders.
mean, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So what
No, no,
one
no, no.
woman,
But
the thing is, what
it's
one woman
biologically true.
likes, what one woman likes, another woman wouldn't like. Like, I've had men try to talk to me who had a lot of money, but that's not the only thing. I wouldn't talk to them.
Yeah,
They got to have
but
more.
remember though, you've had 2 husbands.
Yeah.
One was 6'6", very intelligent,
Yeah, you
and
have
man,
to be smart.
listen. I'm telling you about yourself now.
Uh-huh.
One was 6'6",
Uh-huh.
very intelligent, had a ton of money.
Uh-huh.
The other one is one of the most famous scholars on the planet, who makes a lot of money, who's also
Uh-huh.
pretty intelligent, right? So it doesn't mean that that's so. Here's the thing: pay attention now. Your father, what did your father do for a living? Rest his soul. He was a professor. He was a scholar.
Mm-hmm.
So your father shaped your interest in men. He shaped what you were looking. That's why back in the day,
Well,
see,
you have to be
and
smart because I'm not having kids with somebody stupid.
exactly. Well,
Because then my
because
children will be
intelligence
dumb.
is genetic.
It
Yeah,
is genetic.
yeah.
I'm not
You gotta,
rolling that genetic
yeah,
dice.
you gotta school some of these young girls. Like, don't be letting some idiot put his seed in your body, because you're gonna have idiot kids.
You really do, and it's terrible to say, but
But it's true.
it
It's
is
really
true.
true.
Hmm.
So the thing was, like back in the day,
But
like,
he didn't have. I mean, when we first started dating, he didn't have a lot of money necessarily.
but
He was building.
he didn't have money, but he was in his 20s and he owned a condo in his 20s. Tell me
Hmm.
this. Give me a yes or no. Is it rare for a black man to own property in his 20s? Give me a yes or no. Like, do you think that that's somewhat rare? Like, if a black man is in his 20s and owns a condo,
Well, he was very
would you?
disciplined
Right. He's a great.
and very smart.
I give mad props to your ex-husband, because he was a
Yeah.
smart guy. He was not a dumbass, and you were, and I knew you as your friend. At that time, I knew you. We were just friends,
Hmm.
and I had my girlfriends. You had your stuff, and you were not a woman that, like, guys came up to you. I saw them. I saw NBA players hitting on you. I saw you go in the
Oh
club,
yeah.
and the guys like literally like formed parted like the Red Sea to all touch you like you were Jesus.
You're
You know,
being dramatic
no,
now.
no,
That did not.
you had all these guys that were chasing you with the ballers, the dope dealers, the ones that had all the money, and you were looking for the smart guy. You were looking for the guy you could build with. You were
Hmm.
looking for the man that you thought might be your husband, and then you were going to have children with him after you got married.
Hmm.
And I think that that is something that women can learn from. A lot of women will fall for the bullshit swag. They fall for the guy who imitates their favorite rapper. A guy like Lil Wayne, I'm sorry, a guy like a Lil Wayne does not deserve access to the vagina of any decent woman.
Okay, calm down.
I'm sorry. I'm yelling because it's something. I'm dead serious. Like they market these sons of bitches. They market these raggedy ass, disease infested, broke ass, terrible, abusive, horrible men. And then what happens is girls go for the bad boy. They turn down the good guys so they can make themselves available for the bad guys. And then when the guy messes their whole life up, they're like, oh, men ain't shit. Men are bad. Men are terrible. No, you were chasing the bad boy. And that's what led me to respect you. I'm going to say this. I got to say this publicly. I'm saying it to you.
Okay.
I respected you because you were the most beautiful woman I saw on that campus. But you actually wanted the decent, intelligent man. You wanted the man with the degree, not the man with the gun on his hip. You know, and that was like refreshing.
Yeah, but that wasn't part of my world. It wasn't part of my environment growing up.
What?
That wasn't part of my. I mean, well, being from Gary, but it
Well,
wasn't part of my
you
world.
grew up in the murder capital of America, so
Yeah, but I
I'm
was
sure
really
you had
sheltered.
plenty. I'm sure you had plenty of thugs to choose from.
Yeah, but
You know.
I was sheltered.
Well, what I'm trying to do is
Okay, I see
what
what
I'm
you
trying to
mean,
do is
though.
I'm trying to just break it down, and it's about choices and accountability. Men,
Mhm.
it ain't even about gender. Like the men and the women. Like so, like for the men, you know, if you have this major issue with black women and single mothers and all this other stuff, first of all, you got to acknowledge that that's probably coming from some sort of hurt that you've had. You
Mhm.
know, you it maybe came from your mama. You know, maybe it came from a baby's mama who wouldn't let you see your kids. Maybe it came from the fact that you tried to chase after some girl that you thought was going to be yours, and she picked a better man, right? And I think that in that situation, it's like if I am competing for a championship, if I'm a basketball player, and every time I try to score, LeBron James blocks my shot, and our team gets beat by 30 points. I can sit back and I can hate. I could be like, man, the referees were cheating. LeBron, he's mean. He ain't right. He don't give nobody no points. He takes all the points for himself. Or you can step the game up. That's the point. Like I think as a man, this is a conversation on manhood. Like if that woman wasn't available to you, step your game up. Are you getting your money right? Are you investing? Are you educating yourself? Are you learning how to become a stronger, more capable man that will make you more attractive and more appealing to quality women? You know, smart quality women don't really want to be in messy situations, no differently from you do. You know, quality men, same thing for you too, ladies. Like, if you think that it's not fair that men don't want to be around you and your bad, raggedy kids, or your evil little children, or your crazy baby daddies, you know, it kind of means that you're going to have to compensate for that. You're going to have to get that situation under control. Maybe it means you're going to have to step up your game in certain other areas. You know, if you let your body go and you got all this extra weight and the man isn't interested because of that, I think everything's competitive. Everything's a market. It's just like getting a job. If I apply for a job and I don't get that job, I could be mad at the employer and say they're not fair, they're racist or whatever. Or I could go and find a way to compete. You know, tighten up my resume. Maybe that means I start my own business. Maybe that means I find some other way to get what I want. But at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Now, somebody said let her talk. Alicia's not in here anymore. She had to go get the kids ready. Well, one of the kids is graduating. So let me read some of your questions. Let's see here. Miranda says, in my life, I could care less what someone was doing after I was through with them. Yet, why say anything about having to pay child support for a child that you helped create? Men are toxic as fuck to their children, and that's what they're the toxic. I wouldn't say men are toxic, but there are toxic men. I totally get the point. I will say to you that when you're talking about men who don't want to pay for their own children, I do think that's a problem. I don't think anybody in their right mind could think that's okay to not want to take care of your own kids. That right there, just the fact that that's okay. And remember, though, it's not just the men that are responsible for this. You know, they make these children with women who maybe need to tighten up their standards. Also, a lot of women have men. You have men in your family who are doing this, who are abandoning their own kids, and you are um, okay with that. Like you're not saying anything about that. You know, like, are you making the baby's mama into a bad person when really all she did was have a child with your brother, who don't want to do what he's supposed to do, who doesn't want to take basic responsibility. So a lot of our community falls apart because some people don't want to take accountability. Let's see here. Classic Drip Rob says, that's an interesting name. Classic Drip Rob. He says she only chose boys because she's old now. Okay, that's your right to feel that way. I mean, but I had plenty of options, believe me. But I do think, but I chose her because that's who I wanted. So, because believe me, one thing I'll say the truth about dating is when you meet different women, which I did, believe me, it's like it was like too many. It was like getting on my nerves, honestly. Is that you can choose a younger, like when you're 45, which was the age I started dating Alicia. It's a nice age to be dating because you can date women as young as the 20s, or you can date women that are older, closer to your age. But the reason I like women in their 40s or that were closer to my age is because you could relate to them more. There's a point where you're not as interested in just only linking to things sexually, even though the women at all ages can be sexual. Like that's not the issue, but it's more so like if you're having a conversation about something. Like I'm a thoughtful man. I think a lot, right? So I what do I look like sitting next to some 25-year-old who literally doesn't even remember the cartoons we used to watch in the 80s and the 90s. She literally is like talking about SpongeBob and shit, or talking about like whatever her 20 something year old friends are doing on Instagram. I don't want to have that conversation. I want to have grown man conversation. So, if you want to know why a man who could easily pick, I mean, if you got money, you can have any age range you want. There's women that will date you just because you're rich. And I'm not a poor person. I have plenty of money. I'm not bragging. It's just true because I'm a financial expert. Why? How can I be a financial expert and not have any money? But it's like you have to know like what you need and what you want. And just because you can't have something doesn't mean it's always good for you. And so having a woman you can relate to, like when you're really in a serious relationship, that's really important. You connect on more than just the physical stuff. Let's see here. Baldface says boys keep talking about the college days when he saw her, but he didn't get her in her prime. Yeah, that's kind of that. I can't respond to that, man. You talking like a little kid. Vanchi, why black people like to teach people or like to be pastor? I don't know. You're right. That's a good point. Dr. Boyce chose his wife. That isn't easy, says Jake. Yeah, it isn't easy. It takes a lot of work. You really have to. It's not something that I recommend just for anybody to do willy nilly. I think it's something that you want to be really, really thoughtful about and think about carefully. No contract says Dr. B disconnect your relationship from the internet. That's a good point, and I totally hear that. And I think there's a temptation to do that. But the thing is that I'm comfortable going through the storm. Like I've been dealing with stuff like this for 25 years. Like since I was 25 years old, I literally have been a public figure since I was 25. When I was at University of Kentucky, I used to get a lot of controversy, and I'm okay with that as long as there's a purpose behind it. And the purpose is that I think that we need to talk about Black love and relationships and families. We need to talk about that because that's one of the ways that they're seeking to destroy the community. If you ever want to build wealth, it's very hard to build wealth without family. It's very hard to build wealth when you are promoting a culture of instant gratification, because that's the exact opposite of what it takes to build wealth. Wealth building is delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. It comes from discipline. So I felt that because there are so many Black men who just seem to make a career out of bashing Black women, and I don't completely disagree all the time. Every time I hear somebody critique a Black woman, I mean, believe me, I've been accused of being sexist because I talked about how I didn't like the fact that Lizzo was mass promoting obesity as body positivity. I feel like Lizzo could be better than that, right? I don't like that. I see that as white supremacy. So I've been called a sexist a lot, so I'm in this weird position that very few people I think will be comfortable in, where I'm hated on both sides. There are women who hate me because they think I'm a sexist. There are men who hate me because they think I'm a simp. But either way, whether you call me a sexist or a simp, I believe I'm a truth teller. I believe I'm a man who thinks through everything that I say, and I'm not fucking scared to say it. So I don't, and that's not gonna change. So on the web, what's more popular on the internet really is hearing from people that tell you what you want to hear. And so that's why I know that if I have 100,000 subscribers, somebody else will have 1 million, because they're going to tell people what they want to hear and feed into the toxicity that has led to the decline and the decay of the Black community. They feed into your hatred of women, which you've never fully addressed. They feed into your hatred of men, which was never fully addressed. And all this is going to keep us fighting and keep us broken up. So I am the guy who feels comfortable enough to step into the fire and to say, you know what, call me a sexist if you want to. That's fine. I'm still going to hold some black women accountable. Call me a simp if you want to. I'm still going to love the shit out of this black woman. I don't care what your punk little ass has to say. At the end of the day, I think we need real men. And for those who are not sure, this is what manhood looks like. And I know this very well because I was raised by a real man, Larry Watkins, and I saw him every day display the strongest of manhood, going out, hustling, fighting for his family, ready to kill for his family. But I also saw him show the strength that comes with vulnerability and honesty and love and devotion to a black woman. I saw him devoted to my mother for 47 years, and I honor that, right? So I think at the end of the day, I think that's what we need as black people. We need something that's a little more structured, because I'm telling you, at the end of the day, that's why you're losing. You're losing because you just got some crazy people in your community. That's what it is. Let's see here. So Carl Calvin says there's lots of rules in the Bible that deal with relationships between men and women. I agree. The Bible is actually a book that has a lot of wisdom in it. I don't go to church, but the Bible has a lot of good, powerful stories. Let's see here. We need to show the ones behind us good examples of what a family and stability looks like. Yes, I agree. I agree. Boyce shaves his wife's legs. You're damn right I would. I love those sexy legs. If you ever need your legs shaved, babe, you just let me know. I'll be there to shave anything you want me to shave. Ron Adams says, Doc, you are respected in the black community. Thanks for your daily advice. Well, thank you, Ron. I appreciate the fact that you're hearing me. Wanda Roots, it's meant to sow discord, so we remain failing. That's true. No community that fights this much can ever be successful. So anybody who makes it their life mission to bash away, at the women in the community who gave you life, um, those are not assets to the black community. Those are they might as well be Klansmen, and it's kind of terrible. I think that you can hold people accountable in a respectful way. Can we at least agree on that? Give me a yes if we can at least agree that we can hold people accountable and be respectful. We don't do that. Let's see. Geechee Dan says, "Would you be open to an interview with Minister Jap?" I supported Minister Jap, until and he starts doing all these weird videos, like, and he sounds like a kid, to be honest with you. He's probably not got a serious woman in his life. He probably hasn't accomplished much. So basically, what he's doing, like some people do, is the way you try to get a come up is you attack people that you feel are doing better than you. So, believe me, you will never have a hater who's happier than you, who's doing better than you. Most of the people who take the time to hate on you are people that are not doing well. So would I have an interview with him? I went on his channel, just to show you that it's not an ego thing. I went on the brother's channel and I said, hey man, you're saying all these things about my relationship. A lot of these things are not factually true. Why don't you come on my channel or I'll come on yours and we can talk it out? Like men, that's what men do. If you go to communities that succeed, the men talk it out. Like the mafia, the men talk it out. If you go to, in Asian countries, the men talk it out. You don't have this like whiny, bitchy, like complaining, like, I'm going to really talk about your life as if I know your life. He doesn't know my life. He's probably not even older than some of my children. He doesn't seem like he's that old. So my thought is like, come on, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, why do you hate the fact that a man loves his wife? Like that doesn't even, I can't even relate to that. So anyway, um Lawrence says, I appreciate your wisdom and great advice. Wish I would have heard this a long time ago. Yeah, well, the reason I'm also open to talking about these things in public, and I don't care about I don't care about the criticism, because it's all talking on the internet. It's just people banging on their keyboard. Is because a lot of our children, one of our biggest problems, this is one of the things that white folks did to you, is they took away our families and they took the father out of the house. So a lot of our boys that are online, you got to forgive them, for they really don't know what they're doing. A lot of the boys online that are screaming and hollering, talking about how much they hate black women or whatever, or single mothers are the cause of all their problems. These guys never they grew up with a single mother. That might be why they hate single mothers. So they grew up with a single mother, and they saw the struggle that can come with that. They saw that maybe their mother wasn't emotionally available. Maybe they saw men coming in and out of the house that were disrespectful to their mother. So they've taken this anger, and somehow it subconsciously is a reflection of the anger and disappointment they had with their mother. But also they did not have that father. That father figure is very important. If you have a father, I talked to David Banner one time, and one thing David said that I really agree with 100%, as he said, sometimes you get into situations where you don't know what to do as a man, but you'll be like, well, what would my dad have done? and you literally repeat in that situation, especially when you're young and you're not sure, you repeat what your father did, right? So what if you don't have a father to reference? What if you never had a dad in the house? Well, you're gonna repeat what that rapper did because that rapper became your father. You're gonna repeat what maybe it might be a football coach or somebody, right? But you can't repeat the father. You can't emulate the father because you don't know what your father would have done because your father wasn't there. And then some guys imitate their mothers. That's why that gayness is like at an all-time high. That's why that femininity is at an all-time high. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't when men get real bitchy and whiny about women, you gotta know that that's feminine energy, guys. Like that's not masculine energy. Masculine energy is where you can move forward and you don't really give too many fucks about what people think. That's masculine leadership. An example is if you saw when Ice Cube was challenging Joe Biden and challenging the Republicans to do more for the black community, he literally would go out of his way online to say, I don't give a fuck what you say. Like I don't, he said, F your, I'm gonna try not to cuss too much, but he's like, F your cancel culture. He said, you can't cancel a soldier, you know, and that's something I identify with because that's what masculine energy looks like. That whiny, like black women are the reason for this, and single black mothers are the reason for that, and women do this and women do that. Like that's very that's not really masculine energy. Like masculinity means that you can hear a woman yelling and screaming in the background about something, and you don't allow that to affect you too much emotionally. Like you're not going to try to argue with a woman by being a bigger woman. It ain't going to work. You're going to fail at that, right? So I would just say overall, that we need manhood in the community. We don't have any manhood. I mean, think about this. I mean, I'm sorry, but I hate saying it, but I really would love, a lot of y'all follow, certain guys. I'm not gonna say the name because y'all know who I'm talking about. And a lot of people have come and said, "Oh, that's gay energy. Like that's gayness coming out." Now, is that true or not? I don't know. I don't know. Y'all can make your own decision, but I'm just telling you guys, like you've lost your masculinity in your community, and that's why some of your men don't feel any pressure to meet the standards of manhood. Manhood is about standards. It means like, okay, you're feeling, she don't like you because you're struggling financially. So instead of actually stepping your game up and meeting the challenge, you sit in the corner and whine and complain about women, right? or you're not successful enough, or your relationships aren't working out, or whatever, and you go whine about it as opposed to, stepping up your game. Like, where are you stepping up your game, brothers? Like, seriously. Like I mean, it's like in a basketball game, you don't complain and whine because the other team beat you. You go and you practice harder, you work harder, you raise your standards. You say we're gonna start hitting them jump shots, we're gonna start getting the ball down the court, we're gonna start playing better defense, right? And T. Khalik, Lisa Tracy mentions T. Khalik. T. Khalik is a great example. I'm gonna put his name up here because y'all need to follow T on Facebook because T is a perfect prototype in my view of what masculinity kind of looks like. T is a friend of mine, and T will step in and make the most rational, logical statement about something that I've ever seen. And the whiny bitchy men will come along and get mad about it. Or the women will be like, that ain't right, that ain't right. And T is great because he speaks his truth without fear, without concern of whether or not it hurts your feelings. It's like facts over feelings. We got to solve a problem. I like that. I identify with that. And I think that the men who just say that our problem is our women, like, are you kidding? That's like saying that, that's like the heart saying, if it wasn't for these damn lungs and kidneys, we would have a healthy body. We need to kill the lungs and the kidneys. We need to poison the damn kidney because the kidney is keeping the heart from fully functioning. That don't make no sense because the whole body's gonna die. Like the black woman is you if you are the lungs, she is the heart. The lungs can't kill the heart and expect the body to survive. The lungs and the heart have to work together to make each other healthier. So when you hear it, so it's not just for the men. It's not just a critique on the men. I'm speaking on the men because I am a man, but also like there's just that heavy far left wing toxic feminism. This whole like we're gonna get on a website just so we can complain about men all day, in a way that is completely devoid of any accountability for our own ridiculous behavior, is absolutely insane. So I think that movies like Buck Breaking, I think black men need to watch that movie. Tariq, I'm proud of him. I'm very happy that he made this great film. I'm going to actually do a screening probably in Chicago. That's important to watch because a lot of your men are buck broken. A lot of your men are buck broken, and that's why they're not able to truly fight the real battle. The real battle is not against your women. The battle is against that white man, but you're scared to talk about the white man. Pay attention. How many of these men who will be on a forum all day complaining about black women will spend an equal amount of time and energy fighting with white men? They don't fight white men. They do what abuse. Some of them, not all of them, many of them do what abusers do. I know abusers like that. I know men who will beat the hell out of a woman, will maybe even slap a child. But when a real man walks in the building, they bow down and become very respectful. You ever see guys like that? Seriously, like they'll buck up on a woman in a minute, like a gay man. Like they'll buck up on a woman. Bitch, I beat your ass. You get out of line, blah, 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 right? But then when a real man, when a real strong man is in the space, when a police officer's around, they yes sir, no sir, right? when their white boss is around, it's like yes sir, yeah boss, okay, 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 all right boss, I'll be there at 9 o'clock, right? So my thing is that if you really have an issue with your existence and what's going on in your community, why are you afraid to fight that real battle? The real battle is white supremacy. The real battle is not your women. Sure, we got women that are out of pocket. If the woman's out of pocket, you stay away from women like that. You know, believe me, like I've had to dodge women like that. I've had women like that approach me when I was single. I know how to identify women like that. I dodge them, right? Or I distance myself from them. But in terms of like really like looking at your women as a collective and expressing that level of hatred for your women, you're not only not protecting them, which is what you're supposed to do as a man, but you're also becoming a victimizer of those women. And what that does is that creates more of these toxic feminists who also remember mental illness is contagious. So, nasty men create more toxic feminists who then create more nasty men, and everybody's hurting each other, right? You get in this ugly cycle. So, I personally think that for men as a whole, I think we got to really look at ourselves and kind of say, okay, what does manhood even look like? What does it mean to be on code? Like, what does that paradigm even express for us as men? And I personally think manhood means challenging yourself to do better. That's it. That's been the theme of my whole life. Believe me, I know what it feels like to be a scrub. I know what it feels like to be broke. I know what it feels like to not have what you want. I know what it feels like to be defeated. I know all these things. But because I had a man who literally taught me at an early age that you don't feel sorry for yourself when you're whining and complaining, you're feeling sorry for yourself, right? And what he said was instead of feeling sorry for yourself, you get up and you fight. You get up and you improve. You get up and you do better because you either want it or you don't. Period. So if you want that chick, if you see that lady and she's fine as hell and she's passing you by you're tempted to go complain about black women, they all gold diggers, they this, that, and the other. Well, if you trying to appeal to the gold diggers, then go learn how to get some gold. Like whatever. Like go get you some if that's what you want. If you mad she passed you up because you work at Burger King, then step up your game, start your business, get you some money, get your situation right. Right? Become more of a man. That's what I'm saying. So I'll say, I'm glad a lot of the trolls have left the chat. It looks like they're walking away because I think they're walking away because they understand what I'm saying. I think that that truth and masculinity is a disinfectant for people like that. Really, it is because unfortunately that mindset it's like a fungus or a bacteria, right? And basically the fact that I am not in any way, or many of us, real men in the chat, are not in any way folding to this nonsense, is making them go away. And what I'm really talking to is not them. I'm really talking to the people in here that really want to get a standard for themselves. That really want to win. So everybody here that wants to win, type the word win in the chat. Type win in the chat. And I think winning means getting what you want out of life. So for women, maybe winning means having the relationship that you want. Maybe winning means appealing to the men that you want, right? Maybe that means, doing something honest, like, confronting the fact that maybe losing a few pounds is going to help you appeal to people, right? Rather than complaining and saying, well, men don't like fat women or they're fat shaming. That's just stupid. I don't believe in stuff like that. No, if you're fat, you're probably not going to be as attractive as you are when you're thin. I used to be fat and I became thin. I lost weight, right? But same thing is true with men. I saw men. There was a whole documentary about black men saying, I went to Brazil to go meet a woman because black women are all gold diggers, and I totally understand. Like, you have a right to do what you want, but I'd be curious. Like, if you really think all black women are gold diggers, do you not understand that scientists have pretty much proven that women are naturally attracted to men who have more wealth and resources. Did you know that financial insecurity, this is just a little bit of game for the men that want to understand how this stuff works. Financial insecurity is one of the biggest stressors for a woman. When she does not feel like you can protect her, she's going to be real jittery. She's going to be upset, anxious. She might even become more aggressive and masculine because she doesn't feel like she can trust you. Like, and so I would say that for men, I'm not saying that it's your fault if you are, if you're not making enough money and all this other stuff, but I'm really saying to you that you can't sit here and think that, that the same way you're attracted to her because she's got a big butt or she's got boobs or because she has a great body, she's going to be more like her attraction to you might be affected by whether or not you are an adequate provider and protector. A woman who grew up broke and poor and struggling, or maybe she grew up in an insecure environment, is not always going to want to be around a man who can't provide security. If you can't provide a secure environment for a woman, she's probably going to be more attracted to a man who can, right? And I think and that doesn't make her a bad person. That doesn't make her a gold digger. Honestly, in many cases, that makes her as human as you are. The same way that you are attracted to the girl with the big booty, she might be attracted to the man with the big bank account, right? And it doesn't mean that she's just only chasing after the money. And so I personally think that honesty is the best way to go. And I also think that getting advice from people that are simply cheerleaders for your dysfunction is not going to make you healthy. It might make you feel better. Like, if you can get together with 10,000 other men and complain about women all day, it might make you feel better and make you feel like you're more correct because everybody agrees with you. But it's not going to give you the life that you want. Life is a quality of life is measured in three key areas: health, wealth, and relationships. Are you physically and mentally healthy? Do you have the wealth that you'd like to have? And do you have the relationships you'd like to have? Right. And I'm not here to tell you what those relationships should be. Maybe you like having one night stands, and maybe you like jump offs, maybe you like strippers or whatever. I'm not judging that. It's the thing about it though, is like, as a man who has had those options, I can say that good things don't come from that. Right. So if you're a black man, and most black men are not necessarily empire builders, maybe I'm talking to the top 20% of the men in the room. I don't know. But if you're a black man who's trying to build an empire, sure, you can have, when you build an empire, sure, all the strippers are going to want you. All the gold diggers are going to come after you. Shallow women are going to want to be around you. But you eventually have a commitment to the empire that exceeds your commitment to simply thinking with your penis, right? Most great black men who had a chance to be great were brought down due to a lack of sexual responsibility. Bill Cosby was a great man. Bill Cosby had a great life. But Bill Cosby wanted to hang with those raggedy white drug addicts out in LA and get into all kinds of ridiculousness. Now, did he drug those women? I don't know. Half of them were drug addicts. How do you know if he drugged a drug addict? Nobody knows. But what he did was by not being sexually disciplined, he gave his enemies an opening to take him down. So sometimes a good woman can keep you safe from all the predators in your life. I understand the temptation. I understand, the freedom of it and all that stuff. I've had all of that. All that's been offered to me. Everything I've had things offered to me that you can't even dream of. I kid you not. That's what it comes with, having a little bit of money and being a little bit famous. I've seen all of that, right? And I can just tell you that when you have a purpose or you're trying to build something, Cuba Gooding Jr., that's another good example. His ass going down, all because a white woman says he touched her titty. Let me tell you about Cuba. Let me break that down for y'all real quick. This is just me explaining life to you, to the men that want to be successful, the men that are going to win. Um, Cuba is rich and famous. Cuba thinks he can have whatever he wants, and the world tricks you into thinking you can have whatever you want. Just like he's going down the same path as O.J. Simpson, same path as Bill Cosby, guys that really thought that they could just do whatever they wanted and that they weren't black men anymore. So Cuba lets his guard down. He gives his enemies an opening by getting drunk. Malcolm X used to say that the black they'll sell the black man the liquor bottle, and then so they can lock him up for being drunk. So they try to get you to get involved in the drugs. They try to get you to get involved in the liquor. They get you to get involved in things that are going to cause you to let your guard down. And then next thing you know, because your guard is down, you do some shit that gets you hemmed up. So now Cuba, because he got drunk and touched a white woman's titty, just like Bill Cosby. Remember, he was accused of touching. He's in prison right now at the age of 80 something, away from his family, a sick old man, tired old man. 80 years old, you should be sitting there on a beach somewhere in complete comfort. with your loved ones around you. He doesn't have that. He's in a cold, dirty, nasty jail cell, eating nasty, rotten food every day around predators, young predators that would love to, do terrible things to him. And all because he allegedly touched a white woman's boob. So same, and I think Bill should be released. I think it's terrible. I think what they're doing to him is horrible. But you look at Cuba, same thing. He allegedly touched a white woman's titty. They had it on video, I think, though. And he did it, I think, because he was drunk, because he let his guard down. Now everything he's ever worked for is gone. Deshaun Watson, same thing. I could keep going down the list. There's a lot of black men that this is happening to. So I'm telling you guys, you got to stay away from those cheap situations with cheap, dangerous women. Quality women like that really are decent people who really care about you. Like, will have your back. Like the good black women. I can't speak for all the black women in the community. I just can't. Not every woman is a queen to me. Just because you're a black woman don't make you a queen. I'm sorry. But the women who really are the queens, like the real solid women in the community, they've been protecting your dumb ass since slavery. They've been protecting your black ass from all kinds of stuff that we get ourselves into as men, and we owe them a thank you. We owe them a thank you, and it's okay. And thanking them is not simping. It's no different from you thanking your mother for feeding your little raggedy ass every day when nobody wanted you, when she could have easily went down to the abortion clinic and decided that you weren't even gonna be in existence. Right? My mother easily could have gotten an abortion and let me die. But instead, my mother stood by me when she left that hospital. There was nobody in the hospital when I was born, no one except my mother and the doctor. And it wasn't even a doctor; it was a nurse. And then she went to the street corner and waited for somebody to pick her up with me and her. That was all that I had, and I'm an innocent little baby. I had nothing, and I honor that woman to this day for that. And any man who thinks that that is simping, all I can say is fuck you. You are not an asset to the black community. You are a liability. You are a Klansman. You hate the black community because there's no person who can be allegedly pro-black who would think that it's simping to show love to the women who give us life. Again, I'm not talking about all the women. I'm not talking about every woman out here. I'm talking about the quality women, the women that really, really stand up for us. So I think that's very important for us to understand that. So when you're out here bitching on the internet and blaming single mothers for all your problems, for the reason why you ain't got no money or whatever, take the time to at least make sure you honor the quality women in your community so you don't sound as ridiculous as some of these white people who hate your guts. So anyway, I got to go, guys. This is how I feel. I don't apologize for it. So if you don't like it, just complain about it. I don't care. So take care, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Talk to you later. Peace.